Welcome to Psychic Holistic Spotlight. I'm your host, Josie Way, and tonight co-hosting with me is Bill Hannon, and we're very pleased to have our former cast member, Doris Ann Bridgehouse, as our guest. She's a writer, a numerologist, and a longtime friend of the show's.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So, what are you up to lately as far as writing? You have, under your belt, you have spiritual books, numerology books, and poetry books.
Yes. Well, I'm working on a sort of like a novel. That's been going on for probably the last 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
I keep changing things around, not liking something and changing it. And I meditate on it, so if it's not 100% when I meditate, then I start all over again. In between that time, I have this particular numerology book, Doris Ann Essential Numerology book. I like to put on Kindle. The lady that took care of that, she passed away suddenly and never got to do it. So my daughter is helping me out. It's not that easy if you don't have the programs and all of that type of thing. And the other one I want to put on Kindle is this one here, Searching Within. And that's about living in the moment, okay? When things happen to us in life, instead of getting into blame, we search within and say, why are we feeling this way? What is happening? And I'm a numerologist, and the numbers are vibrations, but we're vibrations also. So when we're working with, relating to somebody and something is not working out to what I feel it should be, then I have 2 ways of going. I can ask the person, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Or I can search myself, because maybe I'm saying something the wrong way and someone's, misconstruing that, what I'm
Now,
trying to say.
Now, is that the Searching Within book that you're talking about
yes,
right now?
right, this book, yes.
Right.
I'm given little vignettes about what happens in life, and generally what happens in life, just small things. It can be, you can have a traumatic thing happen to you also. The thing is, everything you have to move on, you have to move to the next moment. And I'm not saying that something traumatic happened to someone, that they should forget about it. It's have an understanding that was then and this is now. And I'm a believer in going to a psychologist or a psychoanalyst to help you get through those traumatic things. But we only have now. I would like to read a poem about living in the moment.
Okay.
And
we'd love to hear it.
What I did, my husband took this picture on the side. I don't know if the camera can go there or not. And I meditated on the picture. And this was taken in the Berkshires in a store that sold all sorts of Buddhist artifacts. We went there again and nothing was there that we took pictures of. But I meditated on the picture and I wrote this particular poem.
It's like a poem, yeah.
The golden moment. Thirsty for the new, each moment holds the undiscovered. Expanding our reality, opening our hearts to where the formless images stretch the foundations of our existence. Abandoning old beliefs, we transform the path we traveled, welcoming emptiness. Judgments lift, fear loses its power. Come to me, ageless mystery, come to me. Show me your face. Awaken the sleeping visions where the unexpected lies. Live this golden moment with the power of awareness and unveil the unknown found in the sacred space. And what that means is every moment is new. And it's like when you're really thirsty and you just can't get more. So for the people out there that are staying stuck in their lives and living in the past, they're missing out. they should be thirsty for the new, thirsty for what else can happen, thirsty for the opening, because the universe is open for us to enjoy. It doesn't have to be traumatic.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And one of the nice things about numerology, it can more or less give you a map, a direction that you can be looking for, not so much saying this is what I should be doing, but looking for insight.
It's insight. Yes.
Even this is what I should be doing, because one of the major numbers is life purpose that gives you some idea. It doesn't say you're going to be a science teacher that teaches junior high schools your life purpose.
No.
It may say you would do well to work with others, teaching them and learning as you go along, because that's what teaching is, it's learning and teaching. Perhaps with younger people.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
Perhaps helping the elderly. There might be, you know, you pick your own population, and you pick what you want to study, and you pick what you want to teach.
Well, it shows, with what I like about the numerology, it shows what we, as an individual, what our needs are, okay? And say, for instance, you have children. Well, you may have all these ideals that you think your child should do. Well, that child may be a person that wants to be in the background, may not want to be in
Right.
front.
Right.
Again, you may be shy, but your child wants to be in front, wants to sort of be the head of the parade, sort of thing.
Sure.
So it's an understanding. What your numbers show you is an understanding, like you said, a map
Right.
of what's there, and as Josie said, now you make your choices.
Right. Right.
And what are those choices? You know?
And you can appreciate the choices that others around you make, recognizing
Yes.
what's true and valid for them versus, it's not what I had in mind, but hey, it seems like a really good path.
Yes, and you know, to be honest, you don't need numerology to do what we're talking
no.
about, because just being open that someone else is different than you and enjoying the differences, that's what life is really all about.
Right.
And that's where new things always happen. If a minister that he has passed away, his name was Tom Walburn, and he says you can be like this, or you can be like this. When you're like this, it's like it's endless, you know, because the vibrations that you bring toward you when you're open, there's always something to be fulfilling.
Right.
It never ends. It's like it really is endless.
When your hands are like this, they're clutching, and you can't let go of what you have,
That's right.
and you can't get anything new.
Right.
No, nothing
It's-
can fit in.
Yeah,
Nothing
there's
can
no
get-
more room
There's no
Right.
more
when
room.
you're clutching.
Yes. Yes.
And wanting something to be just a certain way. And I know most of us, if we've lived long enough, have stories about unanswered prayers or prayers that were answered with a no that turned out to be real blessings.
Right.
That's
that
right.
it's a good thing I didn't get what I wanted back then,
Right.
because I wouldn't have been ready for it, or that isn't really what I wanted at all.
I've always meditated, even as a kid, but I didn't know I was meditating. And there were certain things that I, like you say, would want. And maybe it would take 20 years later to find out, well, why it wasn't good for me, you know? And here again, it's a letting go. In other words, if you want something in particular, I'm not talking about a car or a house or that type of thing. I'm talking about a spiritual fulfillment. And maybe you're doing this with that idea instead of this. You see, that's where the opening needs to come in.
Right.
To say, we're not in a box where it's like open-ended.
Right.
And you
Well,
know,
I mean, it's just interesting what you're showing when you're doing this. You are cutting yourself off, or you're open,
Yes.
and there are actually modalities where, especially we're talking about ministers and whatnot. There's actually a modality of healing that ministers use, where they will actually put their hand on a person,
they do.
and they hold one hand up like this, and it's just a
Yes.
To
transference,
receive, yeah.
Yes.
and you can actually feel
I can feel it right now.
That's right.
Yes.
Going right through.
Yes.
Exactly. It's just a
Because
continuity.
You're opening. You're
That's it.
whole.
I'm
You're one with the universe.
Right, and all I am is just the extension cord between source and you.
Yes.
And so that's basically, but so this is just insight into what you're sharing about how you can shut yourself off with
That's
fear
right.
and separation, or
Yes.
opening yourself up with being relaxed.
Well, this is you'll be showing the show in. I think it's after Thanksgiving or just before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah, and
Just before.
Thanksgiving time is, on a personal note, is a time for forgiveness. And I always think of forgiveness, not of saying, and I'll use Bill as an example, if you did something to me that I feel you did something to me, and to say, well, now, Bill, I forgive you. No, it's not that kind of forgiveness. It's a forgiveness to me is, again, opening, not saying Bill's okay, I'm okay, everybody else is okay. It's just to get past that aggravation or that little simple thing. And the only one we can change is ourselves.
Right, and your judgment.
And our judgment. And everybody has family members that will drive them crazy in one form or another at one time or another. And that's okay. I always look at it, this is a test. Where am I centered? Where am I balanced? If you say something to me, well, I don't like a black suit, and I find that little squirrely thing inside me aggravating me, hello, guess I'm not too balanced, huh?
Right.
Because it doesn't matter. It's somebody's opinion. So many times we get entangled in somebody else's opinion when in the scheme of things it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Especially as you get older, you notice that.
Well, as you get older, it is a little bit of a blessing that it becomes less important.
Yes.
But the younger you are, the more certain people are influential, and their opinions do seem to matter, whether it's that special teacher or family member. And it takes a period of growth to realize that you're the one that knows what matters and what doesn't matter.
But you have to search within to find that. You can't use it as a superficial
You have
thing.
to look
Yes.
at yourself.
Yes, it's not that easy sometimes to look at yourself, especially if you
look at yourself through your own eyes, not through everybody else's eyes.
That's it.
That's the problem. Usually when you look at yourself, when you're younger, you're seeing yourself as you think everybody else sees you.
Your
Yes.
perception.
Yes,
not
that's right.
not as you really are.
And chances are very good that's not a balanced perception.
No, it's that
Right,
it's, not, that it's not a true picture of who you are.
I think that's, like you said, when you're getting older, you do have under your belt experiences where we'll say a 10-year-old or 12-year-old, well, you can even say 15, you don't have those experiences. So that can make it a little more difficult to search within because you don't have the experiences to sort of back you up and say, well, this worked, now this didn't work, now this works, this didn't work. So that is true. But because I'm an advocate about meditation, through meditation, that's where the stillness is. So even though you're in chaos at home and things may not, especially when you're a teenager, we've all been there, where you think everything's crazy and it's not about me anymore, it's always about somebody else, that type of thing. Stay still. Now, how do you stay still? Traditionally, we'll say the monks would say you should meditate this way or that way. And staying still with me was just looking at a candle. Just a small thing. You don't have to make it 20 minutes, a half hour, 2 hours. Just a small thing you begin small, like looking at a candle, or it can be looking at. I always use it could be a favorite pin from an aunt, or it could be your own ring that you like to wear, or a piece of jewelry, or it can be a comb. It doesn't have to be anything special, and you just stare at that. And that's all you concentrate on. When you find your mind moving and thinking of, well, he said, she said, go back to that object. And if you only do that for 3 minutes or 3 seconds, whatever works for you, you have learned what it feels like to be still, and you can't go back. You can't forget about. This is how it has to be forever.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you're really, truly happy, because there is no chatter in your head. There's no blame.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do anything.
That's right. You don't have to do it. That's
You
wonderful.
can be yourself for
Yes.
that moment and look inward.
And yes, I like that. You don't have to be something, because we always it's always like that carrot. The donkey has a carrot in
right,
front
right.
and never really gets there.
Right.
You know, that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like I say, going back to meditation, just small things. So say a family gathering and someone is sort of driving you a little crazy. Because I've done it so long, I just close my eyes and I put myself in that spot, in that stillness
yourself.
spot.
Right.
You know,
You center
no one
yourself,
even
right.
no, and I can have my eyes open. No one even knows
no,
it.
no.
And
understand what
I'm
you're
like,
saying.
and it gives me a freedom.
Right.
And sometimes it's pretty funny how things can aggravate you, which are silly.
Right.
You know, I remember when my 12-year-old, no, I think she was a little bit older than 12. Yeah, we'll say she was 12. She was 12, and my younger daughter was throwing the biggest tantrum. I mean, she threw herself on the floor, and her hands are frailing, and they're kicking in the back, and she's screaming, and crocodile tears, the whole
Yeah.
thing. And I just stood and watched, and I was smiling, and my oldest daughter says to me, she says, "Ma, it used to drive me crazy when you would smile when I was doing that." She said, "But now I've got it. It is pretty funny."
Yeah.
You know, and I would say, "When you're done, we're still going to talk about this little problem that you
That's
had."
right, that's right, that's
Because they were
right.
hoping, like,
It's
well, if I
got the
throw the
issue.
tantrum and
Divert the attention.
yeah, then
Right.
she's got to forget about it, you
Right,
know. And I
right.
says, "No, we'll just go. I'll wait."
Yeah,
you know,
right, right.
and that's how it is with everything else. All you have to do is wait.
Mm-hmm.
It will be revealed to you. You will have a clarity,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't have a clarity unless you stay still and be open. It's impossible.
Now, of course, a great tool is meditation and being
Yes.
able to center yourself at will.
Yes.
But you have, if you will, a source of divination here, basically with numerology.
Yes.
And so it just basically is a tool to give somebody insight. And you say, well, numbers are so generic, how can it give me insight versus somebody has the same number? You read a description, and as you're reading something, it triggers something inside you that's relevant.
Yes.
And it may not be relevant to the other person, but something else they read in that description later on in that paragraph, well, they'll say, well, that's relevant to me.
That's right.
And so the thing is that I think this is a very powerful tool as long as you understand it's just a tool. It's not cast in stone.
Nothing is. No.
Right, right. And so, like, one of the things we wanted to talk about today was the universal year.
Yes, and I like to tell everybody how to do that. We're 2013, so with numbers, you're adding numbers constantly,
Right.
and you're breaking them down. My book shows from 1 to 9, so 1 to 9 are the primary numbers. So we have a 2, we have a 0, and we have a 1, so that's a 3, and of course the 3 is in the 13 is a 3, so
Total-
that's a 6. So
a
it
total
totals
of
6.
six out of the-
So it totals of 6. So we're in a 6 universal year.
Right.
And what that means, it means general. That's what universal means. It's a general year. So this year, as everyone knows, the president was working with the health, and health is one of the things. Marriage is one of the things. Understanding children, because it's a family type of it's family issues.
Right.
Home and responsibility.
Yeah, a wholeness there, not you know, we'll say that person's over here and that person's over there. It's a wholeness, like getting along together, putting everything in sort of one bucket, maybe shaking it around a little bit, and then coming to the conclusion what works the best. Now, I know that the healthcare plan isn't working as well as they expected because of all the little nuances with the
Sure.
website and all of this type of thing. But that will work out because it always does. Everything always works out. And just to bring it to your attention too, I break down the universal year in 4 sections.
Okay.
So the section we're in now is October, and it'll go to January, which will change for the year 7,
Right.
universal year 7.
Right.
So October is taking on the number 7. Now the number 7 is sort of it's a self-reflection number, vibration, we'll say
Right.
self-reflection vibration. It's at a higher level than the 6 in the sense of spirituality. So in other words, right now people are sort of on a grounding area. We'll say, we're just talking about the health issue now. With the grounding area, this is brand new. Where do I put my feet?
Right.
How does it affect me? Why does it affect me this way? So it's sort of like a little self-imposed there,
Right,
you know,
right.
that type of thing. But after this year, it will be more, they'll be coming up with better ideas. Things will be working out, and they will be flowing easier. Okay, because like everything new, it's the baby steps.
Right.
They won't have the flowing. And I see, because of the 7, with this spirituality type of thing, it usually brings people in to be thinking on a higher level. In other words, it's not like you planned on, this is my idea and I'm going to make this happen. It's like all of a sudden the ideas just come in a positive way.
They're inspired.
It's an inspiration.
If
yes.
you're open
again, yes.
In a 7 vibration or frequency, it's very, very inspiring.
It's very
and it's up to
inspiring.
you to decide what you can carry forward with and what you can't carry forward
And
with.
how it's uplifting because it's brand new. In other words, things will be happening new. There'll be new movies out that deal with things in a spiritual way that maybe they haven't done before. Something brand new.
Like Pay It Forward.
Yes, it can be something, not necessarily that, but something that I haven't thought of myself, but people that do that type of thing will think
Sure.
of something new.
No, but I mean the movie itself, Pay It Forward, was a unique idea,
Oh, yes,
a very
that's-
spiritual idea.
Yes, it was.
That impressed a lot of people.
Yes, and actually it made a lot of sense. It makes sense. So the other thing will be too, with, we'll say drugs, okay? Here again, there's going to be changes with new drugs coming out that sort of like skip. Like in other words, usually you have to build to get to a certain spot. This here will skip and will be something that's very, very good and help. I see it helping a lot of people.
So
Again.
it would be more like a geometric progression instead of an arithmetic.
Yes,
Right.
yes, it's something like a surprise thing
Right,
there. You
right.
it's just like that flow.
Sure,
And-
just like I'm trying to think of the one that they used for heart medicine, and they realized it was great for erectile dysfunction. What was it? The blue pill? Well, never mind. It's just that, you know, here it is, something that they never intended to
Yes,
use it for,
and then
all of a sudden this whole thing
It's on
opens
that
up.
idea, yes,
Or,
it's on that
or
idea.
the same thing with the, they were using a heart medication and men's hair was growing back.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. Well, even aspirin is that, all the different things that aspirin can
Right.
take care of, and it's such a simple.
So it's just from the bark of a white willow tree.
Yeah.
And it's so
Celiac.
simple,
Right.
and then hello, you
Right,
know, that
right,
type of thing.
right.
So there's many, many different things that will be happening in 2014 that unexpected, like an unexpected thing. There may be glitches in the Middle East because they're doing their little baby steps and trying to figure out where they're going, and this here vibration
Right.
is rising them to another level. So the women will feel, because they have that connection, will feel much stronger.
Well, I hope so.
And no, it's going to be happening
Right.
because it's just like with communism many, many years ago. I remember saying to my kids when people were fighting about it, I said, you know, it's all going to work out itself. You know, we don't need to be fighting about it. And it's that type of thing because we have the natural progression.
Right.
Without it's just like our children. They're going to grow up and be adults without our permission. It's
That's
going to
right.
happen.
That's right.
It's what we put into them
It's-
and
it's
how
the
we
guidance, right.
Their guidance,
Right.
you know. So that's the only thing we can do. And they're going to forget about our guidance because now they're on their own and they're adults.
Right.
You
And-
know,
right.
you can't pat yourself on the back, you know, that type of thing.
Right.
So that's what the new universal year coming up will be. And like I say, I wanted to bring to your attention too, January, February, and March is the beginning of this new vibration.
The new 7.
After March, it'll be stronger.
Okay.
So after March, the springtime will be much more stronger. You'll be seeing more things happening in that time. And of course, it's a double thing because it is spring. So it's,
Right.
you have that uplifting.
So
again.
what about people that psychic impressions or being able to become, will you be able to make better strides spiritually and psychically
Yes,
in
yes.
the 7 year?
Yes, in the 7
Yes.
years. No, the people that have 7 in their birthday or 7 with their name,
Right.
they will be touched even more so when they need to be very careful with their health.
Okay.
I can't emphasize that
Oh,
enough.
I'm glad you told me. I got less than like 2 7s in my
Yeah,
numbers.
you need the reason why, because all of that energy is swirling around you, and
Right.
you're already acceptable. You're already
Right.
accepting that type of thing. So you have to be very careful who your friends are, where you're going. Any negativity is very, very
Right.
bad
Right.
for people, and it's particularly hard for. I know that you have sons in the service,
Service, right.
and it's say they have a 7. That's pretty hard because now they're having to deal with that. And, you know, they have that vibration around.
Sure.
So some people will have it more difficult than other people.
Right.
But it's to have an awareness with these.
And I find it interesting that, 8 is usually associated with revolution. And so here you have the introspection of a 7 year where you are building a foundation
Yes.
to expand within a year of revolution.
Yes. Yes.
So it's-
yes. Bring people to a higher level
Right.
of thinking, and it's almost by osmosis too.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, just like when we're meditating on that object,
Right.
that's when we bring things in. We may not know what we're bringing in. We can use it down the line. Two days later, something snaps in our head because we placed ourselves in
Sure.
that stillness moment.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Many's the inspiration I've had in a peaceful moment in a shower or washing dishes without
Because
thinking.
you're in that center.
I'm in that space without
right.
intending to be.
That's right.
That's right.
But
yes.
I'm there.
That's sometimes when you get the most spontaneous answers is when you, I mean, they always used to joke about Einstein, always nodding off and then coming back,
Yeah.
coming awake, and all of a sudden he just happens to have a solution for a problem that they've been working on, And it's not just Einstein.
Yeah.
This is a tool that everybody can use as long as you
Yeah.
recognize it.
That's right, and
And-
be open to it.
Exactly.
Yes.
So you have an issue that you're dealing with,
Put it
and you
to
put
the
it aside,
universe.
and you go and you start doing something else, or you're interacting with other people. All of a sudden, in the back of your head, the idea comes forward that addresses the previous issue.
That's right.
You
Yeah, it's as simple as that. It
Right.
sounds too easy almost, but
right.
That's how it works.
Spontaneity,
Yes.
synchronicity.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
It's constantly around us, and just
Right.
to be open to it.
Right.
And actually, being open to it makes your life a lot easier because you're not making mistakes. You're not grabbing onto the lifeboat and saying it has to be my way.
Right.
That type
We
of thing.
only have 1 minute, and I want to say thank you for being our guest.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for being my co-host, and thank you to the audience. And we can continue to chat about the universal year
Sure.
and the coming year. We'd like to have you back.
Thank you.
And
And one thing I'd also like I've always been interested, maybe you could share a little bit of time the next time we see you, about using just a regular deck of cards for
Sure.
tarot. I basically, again, using numbers.
Sure. I'd like to do that.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so very much for joining us tonight. And please come join us again. Thank you.